Hey everybody, welcome to the Multifamily Legacy Podcast. I'm your host, Corey Peterson. I'm here with my amazing and beautiful and lovely wife for over 15 years, Shelley Peterson.
Good morning.
We are in the backyard, I want to say kind of like sweating our butts off.
It's getting a little toasty here in
And
Phoenix.
so we're going to show you what it looks like to sweat in Arizona. And because this is the time of year right now is when everybody's like, let's get out of the state.
Yeah.
Right?
Let's get out of
So
Dodge.
everybody, I always play a big joke on all my friends that live on the East Coast. I usually play that joke around February, when and I take a picture of me out in my shorts, and living a good life, and they're like 6 feet under in snow, right?
Yep.
Here's the time right now is when
Paybacks.
it is payback, dude.
That's right.
And people wonder how we do it here in Arizona. Like, how do you manage the heat? Well, we don't ever come outside like we're doing now. We just stay in the AC. And then you got to do the death march if you have your car outside, right? So you go in your car. You got to turn that thing on, let it cool off, because it'll be like 150 degrees in there.
Yeah, easily. Triple
it's
digits.
crazy.
Yep.
So, got a really good show for you today. We're going to talk about all the things necessary. How do you do improvements on your property that actually get you paid, right? Cool. A lot of people don't quite get this, or they over improve a unit, they under improve a unit, and I'm going to show you what it should really look like, or at least I'm going to talk you through what it should look like. And I'm bringing my woman here to validate and give me the amens, because what I'm going to say has a lot to do with women and not so much to do with men. Okay? So now, before we do any of that good stuff, and I didn't have any iTunes, I didn't read any of my iTunes, so I'm not going to do that, but if you're new to the podcast, as always, go to kahunawealthbuilders.com and download my Quick Start Workshop video series, okay? You will want that because it'll teach you how to find deals, how to find lots of private money, and it gets you in the queue, okay? Gets you in my system, and so we can start marketing to you. Obviously, there's a lot of flies here too.
I know.
The
It's
guys are
crazy.
flying around.
So let's get this.
Let's
get this show going so Mama can get back in the AC.
All right. So when we talk about upgrading units, we call it a unit refresh standard. And so I want to paint this picture of and describe who is moving into your house, or moving into your apartment. And I can't even remember if I did this whole thing on another podcast, that I've already said it or not.
I
don't think I have, but if I have, give me some grace, because you're going to hear it for the second time. And maybe you got to hear it more than once to really understand and implement it, okay? Now, we all know that we never get to pick where we live, okay, as men, most of the time. So every time I say this, I'm going to say most of the time, right? Just so I'm PC.
Oh,
but in my opinion, I never get to pick where I live. The only person that really does is my wife, Shelley. You can chime in whenever you want to. I'm looking at you.
Well, I'm just, for, couples that are married, most women, I don't want to...
Even if you're not married.
Yeah.
If you got a girlfriend, it doesn't matter if you're married or not, I don't think.
No, it doesn't.
No.
But I just know the women that are in my lives, they kind of, if they don't like it, if mama's not happy...
You live
one's
when mama
happy.
is happy,
Yeah.
right? So now I also know this. You will live at the best place that you can afford.
Right.
Whether you're a renter, whether you're buying a home. So no matter what, you're always going to try to live in the nicest, safest, best place that you can afford. Right?
Sure.
Okay? Now, picture this. When your girl or your wife or whatever, they walk into an apartment complex, and they're wanting to see, is this the kind of place that I want to live? Mm-hmm. Do we need a wipe?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. At the end of this podcast, when we are dripping with sweat,
Why are we doing this?
you guys are like, dude, you guys are dedicated.
Why are we doing this right now?
You want to leave? I can finish the rest of it. You need to go inside?
No, it's fine, baby.
All right.
I'm going to sweat it out with you, my
can go
love.
inside.
I'm going to sweat it out with you. Let's do this.
All right.
All right, giddy up.
You can't rush me here, love. You can't rush me. I've got to develop the story. I got to sell the sizzle, man.
Sell the sizzle, because I am sizzling right now. I'm like sizzling. You can fry an egg on my head.
Okay, so, all right, we're going into the unit, and your girl's with you, and she's already sizing it up. Now, because in her mind, she's thinking of her girlfriend that lives down in that new house, new build construction, and so when you think of that, what does that house look like? Right?
It's newer.
Well, okay, but I'm going to describe it for you. Okay, when you walk in, it's always two-tone paint.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
The baseboards are what color?
White.
White. All the switches and the switches are what color?
White.
White. Okay. Is there any paint on the switches?
No.
No. Hell no.
No.
Right? Is there any paint on the like plug-in things anywhere on the?
No, there's no. It's very clean.
It's perfect, right?
Perfect. Just like
Okay, and it's white, and it's two-tone, and it looks good, and there's not like old goppity goopy stuff anywhere, right?
Goppity goopy.
Yep, goppity goop paint. Okay, now if you have a like let's say it's a brass nickel handle to turn, right?
Yep.
If you open up and you look at the hinges, right?
It should be the same.
They should be the same brass nickel, huh?
You shouldn't have chrome and brass nickel and
Or gold. And on the hinges, they're not what?
There's no paint.
There's no paint.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Right. So now I'm describing to you what all the now. Let's go into the kitchen now, right?
Okay.
So now we've walked into the kitchen. Okay. In the kitchen, every woman wants a sink and a faucet that has kind of like a curve to it, right?
Oh,
the
yes.
faucet head
Yep.
is one of those nicer faucet heads with the
Totally.
little curve. Not the cheap one like built in the 70s where it goes straight out and like the little deal,
Oh yeah.
right?
Ugh.
Not that.
No.
Ever. Okay? So it doesn't have that. Also, on all the doors, on all your cupboards and stuff, right?
Right.
What's on those things?
On the cupboards?
Yeah. It's the metal.
The knobs?
Knobs! Okay?
Why do I feel like I'm test taking right now?
Yeah, you are, but you're passing.
Oh man.
You're passing with flying colors.
I'm already sweating.
Hey, you can tell I did not prep her before we did this.
No,
okay?
he's like, hey, I'm like in the middle of breakfast. He's like, let's do a quick podcast. I'm like, I haven't eaten breakfast, but all right, I'm gonna roll with you, Daddy. Let's do
And
this.
it's almost like it's more like a brunch because it's hot.
It's more brunch.
Hotter than Hades right now.
Here, do you need me to dab?
No, I'm fine.
I'll be dabby dab.
I don't need to be dabbed. You can dab me. Okay, I'll let you dab me. All right.
I'm so thankful we're going to Hawaii next week. It's my
All right,
favorite place.
let's keep on task.
It's gonna be
We
cooler
gotta keep
than-
our message, honey. Okay, so we walk into the kitchen. We got knobs on all the cupboards and all the drawers, right?
Right.
Because that's what, like, again, we're just thinking of when Susie walks into her apartment, she's thinking of Shelley's house, and she wants it to look and feel like Shelley's
true.
house.
That's
right?
true.
Now, let's walk into the bathroom now. We're walking into the bathroom.
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go.
Now, what kind of, if you saw like a faucet like turn on and they had plastic,
Oh, that's so cheap looking.
yes.
Oh.
Right. Can't have that, right?
Cannot have that.
Most people put those cheap plastic
No.
little deals. If it's got any plastic on it,
Get it out of there.
86 it,
Bye bye.
right? Because for like $4 more on a faucet, you can get the one with like real handles.
Nice ones, yeah.
Not the plastic crap.
They still do that?
Dude, I'm telling, like, well, see, we buy, Shelley, remember this. We're buying 70s and 80s product,
Oh,
apartment
yes.
complexes.
Yep.
Okay? Now, I'm describing, so now, as you guys can see, what my wife doesn't do is real estate. That's okay. She's not supposed to. Shelley's job is to be my cheerleader, right? And she does it amazingly well. And she runs my events. That's what her genius is.
And we have a lot of fun.
You could care 2 sheets about like what I do in real estate.
I know.
But you understand this.
But I understand it.
Right?
I'm always surprised.
So when we're talking about going into the bathroom, and if you got these cheap plastic looking...
I mean, I have it in my head. I see them. They're the little white, not the white, but the...
They just look crappy.
Transparent.
Yes, right?
Man, the reason why I know is because I had them growing up.
Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you went to your friends that had the nice ones, you're like, they're living it
Right.
up.
And then there was always that little piece in the center of the plastic of the knob that always would pop out.
Yes,
And you
always.
had to like put it back in, like get
Yeah.
some glue or something.
Yeah.
I was so ghetto.
So for like $4 more, that's now, and then also the light fixture, right? Is like a 3-light fixture, and
Yep.
it's the same color as like brass nickel or
Yeah,
brass
yeah.
nickel, or it'll look like it's kind of feng shui. It'll look nice.
Did you say feng shui?
I said feng shui.
Feng shui?
Okay, I said feng shui.
I wish it was feng shui out here with the breeze.
Okay, it's not so much feng shui, but we got to stop talking about how hot it is.
It's so cold
or
here.
we'll never get
I'm
through
so
the message.
cold.
We'll never get through the message here.
Burn, freezing. Sorry.
Oh,
babe.
you're killing me, love.
Oh,
right.
maybe next time you want to invite me on your podcast.
This will probably be the best rated podcast we ever have.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh my gosh.
Then we should do it again next week in Hawaii. That'll be a lot of fun.
We will do it in Hawaii. That I
Yeah.
promise.
All right.
And it'll be a lot better.
Yes, because it'll be cooler.
All right, we'll talk about living the sunset and palm tree life
Perfect.
over there.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, plastic knobs. Back to that.
Okay, we're back to the knobs.
Are we done with the bathroom?
No, we're still gotta go to look at. We gotta open up the shower or the tub now, right? So we
Oh,
gotta
don't
pull.
do it.
We gotta
No.
pull back to the screen,
I don't want to see the tub.
and then we're gonna look at that.
I'm
and so
scared.
now the tub. You can't always do a lot with the tub. You just want to make sure that it's white.
You can recock it.
Yes, you can recock it.
See, Mama knows a couple things.
Right.
too.
So if there's
There we
any
go.
of that like moldy looking,
Yes, because it always
caulk.
is. Right. Just
you just put some caulk in there. Okay.
I'm almost. This is terrible. I don't know where we're going with this podcast. But goodness.
We're just talking about caulk, Jen. Honey. Make
Ah.
sure you get the L in there. You gotta make sure
Well,
you,
yeah, well-
it's caulk.
Well, if Mama Lucy
Not
is
just
on,
cock.
if Mama Lucy is on the podcast, the L's are silent.
Yeah.
Because she's Asian and she
What you do with
can't
that
help it.
cock?
What the hell? You don't know cock in the bathroom. Love you, Mom, if you're listening. Oh man.
Okay. So, anyways, so you want all that stuff white and
Correct.
fresh, right?
Yes.
And then the shower head just needs to not look like that old
Plastic. They have
80s.
plastic.
Yeah, make the shower head look nice. Everybody wants to take a nice shower, right? You just want to get clean, and if you like only have 3, if you got one of those old 70s like shower heads that only like 3 of the things work, like there's 3
I
streams
remember those
coming
days.
out because the other ones are all
Man.
junked up.
They just spray different directions.
Yeah, and one goes east,
One
south,
direct-
north,
yeah.
west, and it never gets where you want, right? So,
Golly. You know, I thought that was like growing up. That was my norm.
yeah.
That was normal for like you get under the one drip that's dripping the most. Wash your hair.
And then also just the doorknobs. So like all the doorknobs have got to be the same color. You shouldn't walk through the house and hey, there's gold, there's brushed nickel, here's oil rub bronze. Like they should all be kind of the same color,
Consistent.
right? Now, what we just talked about was going into a new house, right? Or like the house that your friend lives in or whatever. When you're going into a 70s and 80s apartment complex, if you can make your unit look and feel like that. And so here's the trick. It does not cost that much more money to do what I just called that refresh standard. It's really not.
You call it a refresh standard?
Standard, yep. That's our refresh standard.
Is that an industry term or is that
I don't know, but it's a Corey Peterson term, and it's a big Kahuna cash flow term.
refresh standard?
You should make sure your unit refresh standard, right?
Ah,
Because we believe every time we take over a unit, a property, we have our standard of what it should look like, right? And so we call it
refresh standard.
a unit refresh standard.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. This
And
is
so
fun.
we already know what faucets we use. We all already know what knobs we use.
Mm-hmm.
We know the base molding that we use. We know the doorknobs and all that stuff. The hinges,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, we will go and replace all this stuff, right? So it is so easy to take all the plugs and the switches and just put new ones.
Totally.
Like the switches are like 12 cents, 13 cents, 27 cents sometimes for the...
The USB?
Yeah, so like there's cheap. It's super cheap.
Right.
So if they're, and especially when you walk into some of these 70s and 80s buildings, those switch plates and all that stuff, they're that old looking.
They're ugly.
They look like they've been, what is it, like, it's not yellow.
But they look yellow.
It's like off dirty ass white.
They're dingy.
It's just,
I call them dingy.
It's just ugly, right? I just call it ugly, right?
Ugly. We'll call it
That
ugly.
stuff's got to go, right? Because that's not what Mama likes, right? Mama wants to walk into her apartment complex
Fresh and clean.
and be blown away.
Yes.
All it has to do, and it's this much more work. It really is, because okay, so our maintenance guy has to go in there and say, okay, I've got all these if the hinges are bad, so we get hinges. Hinges are like $3, $4. I mean, they're cheap, right?
Right.
So we will get all this stuff, all the parts that we need. We'll install all the new hinges, all the new faceplates. We'll put knobs, right? We get knobs for like 97 cents, right? To put and drill a hole in the little door thing, and and then you got knobs to pull everything, like normal people do, right? It'll save your countertops and all the wood because
That is so true.
your people are not getting all their greasy, dirty fingers off and on the edges of everything.
I'm telling you, you are like painting the story of my life as a young kid. We lived in apartments. Much like Corey, I come from a...
You want to freshen up right
Freshen
here?
up? Yes, thank you.
Your
Am I
makeup's,
is that
your
sweating?
makeup's coming off.
Well, I don't even really have makeup.
Yeah, go right there.
Okay, it's all good. Thank you very much. Don't mess with a woman's face, Daddy. Okay, now I lost track.
You're growing up. You lived in a shack.
No, we lived in this apartment called Chase Apartments in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Man, that place was just run down. But no, you're describing exactly what our kitchen looked like. There was no knobs. We'd have to put our finger. And then, the worst was the roaches would like fly out. Like, I'm not kidding you. They would you'd open up a cupboard and a roach would just graze.
Make sure we don't have roaches in your.
Yes, that should be. How do you do with?
You
bugs?
hire a pest control company.
I wonder why our apartments didn't.
Because they didn't.
That was not clean,
They were
affordable
not,
housing.
Yeah, that was
That
not.
was awful. That was like the
There's
war
lots
zone.
of different people out there that run their stuff lots of different ways. I'm going to teach you how to run it the best way,
Yes.
right? Because in any given tenant class, right, A, B, C, or D, or whatever it is, there's even subsets of tenants in that class.
Right.
So for like a C property, you have all different types of tenants. Now, we have mastered this thing called marketing, right?
Yes.
Most people, especially if they're moving from out of town and stuff like that, and they're looking for an apartment complex, where do you think they shop at?
Are you asking?
It's not a trick question, but I'm asking you. Yes.
I was what now?
Okay.
The heat's getting to me. I'm like feeling the sweat drip.
Play with me, honey. You're not playing with me.
Because I'm sweating in places
You're like
where
lost in space right now.
because I'm sweating in places where women shouldn't sweat right now.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna say it again. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. I even forgot what I said now because you got me going on this whole tangent. I can't, what was I? I don't even remember what I was saying.
You were saying when they're shopping, where are they going to shop? I don't. We'll have to dub this one out.
Man, honey,
Okay.
I'm totally drawing a blank.
You're like,
I was
you're
on a
killing me,
roll,
Smalls. You're killing me.
and I asked a question, and I can't even think of what the question I asked because I'm now you've thrown me off.
I'm sorry, my love. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm just gonna go back to my unit standard talk. We'll try to get that done. All we're trying to do is paint a picture of what your house should look like, right?
Right. You've done a great job.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I know I was talking about classes of people.
That's right. Classes of people.
So even like there's we find our stuff on the internet, right?
Right, yes. But back then,
that's what I was trying to add. Guess so. Where are you
Gotcha.
gonna go shop for?
internet.
Oh my God! Bingo!
The internet.
Ding, ding, ding.
But see, I was still back in time when I was a young
No,
kid.
you have to think about
We
like
didn't have
how do
internet
you
back
do it
then.
now?
But
When
now
you're
it's
looking for
internet.
an apartment
Yes.
complex,
Yes.
most people
True.
will grab. You're going on the internet. You're not doing anything
Yes.
else in today's
That's
world.
right. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So we are really good at marketing on the internet. And we show our unit refresh standard as the type of unit that we offer. And that is exactly, it's not bait and switch.
No, it's not a bait and switch. What you
that's-
see is what you get.
We give them that stuff. We give them the thing with the knobs. We will, if it's got old linoleum countertops, right? Or Formica, we will, and if it looks old, we have this way that we can process and do this new paint procedure to make it look brand new,
Yeah, that's cool.
right? You've seen that.
Yes.
And so we do that. We will do the baseboards. We will do the stupid faucet in the kitchen for like, it's a little bit more. Same thing with the bathrooms. It's just a little bit more to do a nicer faucet. We put all these things together. Then when Mama walks into the unit to look at it, she immediately thinks, man, I think I want to live here. Like this feels
Mama's home.
Mama
Mama's
is home,
home.
right? and so when she looks and she's like this,
Right.
look at me like you're like, tell me this is the thing,
Yeah,
like
right.
honey, like this is the one we're gonna get, right? And so when you get that look, right, then all of a sudden you're ready to make a buying decision,
Right.
right? Whether I was ready or not doesn't matter because she's ready to make a buying decision.
Yes.
And she'll be like, honey, this is the one I want.
Right.
And I'll be like, ooh, okay. So like, let's get it, right?
Yep.
Because I'm
True.
going to make you happy.
Yes.
Now, the other thing that we really try to accentuate in our properties, we talked about lighting. I've talked in a couple episodes about lighting. But, that's another big thing is we'll take all the outside lights that are around the property and we will replace them with LED lights. And the reason is, and we use a very bright white light. It shoots out lots of I don't know what it's called, lumens or whatever it is, kelvins.
It's very bright.
It's a bright light and it says, hello!
Yeah. Yes.
And so when women, and these are a lot of times working women that live in our property,
True.
right? They're getting home at night.
Yep.
And do you think they want to feel safe or not so safe?
Safe. See?
Safe.
Safe.
Right? I know it was a trick question, right?
It was, yes. That wasn't a trick question. That was a huge difference.
And so if it's super bright white and there's no like dirty yellow, scary, lurky places, do you feel comfortable?
No, even growing up in a
Do you feel more comfortable? It's not no, it's
Oh.
yes.
Yes, I feel more comfortable. But
Thank you.
I'm going back to the days when I used to live in apartments, and I remember those ugly incandescent yellow lights. And as kids, we would play in the apartment building neighborhood, I guess. And there are certain areas where you just didn't go to because it just looked really creepy. It was scary. You didn't want to go to the playground because of the yellow incandescent ugly lights.
Right.
Yeah.
And they just don't put out enough light.
I always thought Freddy Krueger was going to come out and get me.
There you go. Come here.
I say we're dating ourselves. I'm dating myself. Child of the 80s. Woo woo.
So there you go. So here's a classic example of just doing the little things, right? So
Yeah,
this
totally.
business is really not so hard if you just use some common stupid sense.
Common sense.
Common sense. Like, listen, most of my life, I always say I'm not that smart, but I'm a smart guy, am I?
The smartest man I know.
Thank
Folks.
you, thank you.
He really is.
Barely made it out of high school, by the way. Barely made it out of high school.
He says this stuff, but I'm telling you, dude's pretty smart.
Now, but listen, common sense can solve 99% of your
True.
problems.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit more. I don't know. Because to me, it seems like it's common sense that if that's what a woman likes for, all those items that I just talked about, maybe in a normal turn situation where you're going to get a unit rent ready, to do the extra stuff that I talked about,
Right.
maybe $200 more,
I was gonna see. Yeah.
maybe $250
If that.
more total cost to do our unit refresh standard.
But man, the ROI on that is
It's crazy.
huge.
Crazy. Because we were already going to replace the carpet and put linoleum down. We were already going to do the countertops because that's a standard for us.
Right.
But like to put the knobs, that's an extra deal, right?
Yeah.
But it's not a big deal for us to do. To make sure all the face plates, that's a little extra, but it's very cheap to do that.
Right.
Make sure all the doorknobs are the same. Again,
Seems so simple, but
Right.
it's so.
here's another thing that we do.
Oh.
As we are going and turning the units, we always keep 2 new toilets in hand at all times. We
Really?
replace the toilets. You're like, you replace the toilets?
I didn't know.
Yes, we replace the toilets.
We replace toilets. Is that
With-
part of your refresh standard?
It is because we use a low flow,
Ooh, that's
toilet.
right. Low flow.
right? We want to conserve because we're conservatives. We want to conserve the water. So
I
our
remember you
water
telling me
bill
this. Yep.
is
Lower.
lower. Oh my gosh, right? And so,
Common sense.
I mean, you would be surprised how much water you lose every time someone
Oh man.
flushes the toilet 10,000 times a day.
What was that story Mike was telling us about why there was so much water being lost? What was one of the properties?
Oh, that was the broken pipe. That was
Oh,
different.
the broke pipe. Oh, okay.
So there you go. I think we've sweated enough,
Yes.
right?
I need to.
So the episode today, hopefully you've enjoyed the way me and Shelley interact because it's always
boy.
obviously she runs the roost here.
Oh, honey, that's not true.
I'm just eye candy.
You
Okay.
are like candy.
I'm just the eye candy. Okay, I just want to let you know that.
You're my eye candy.
I got a lot of
And I got a
playground.
lot of playground. Mama's playground right
A
here.
lot of playground here. So listen,
Oh,
hey,
boy.
thanks for tuning into the podcast. It's not very often that I get my wife to come out and do a podcast with me, but she is my biggest cheerleader. She's been my supporter from day one. You've always believed in me when no one else would,
Aw.
and for that I owe you everything.
No, baby.
We cheers,
Cheers.
and that's why she's my lady
Oh.
by Kenny Rogers.
Maybe one day he'll sing on the podcast.
Oh gosh.
Hey, if you put some likes or comments and say, yes, Corey, sing to your wife on the next podcast.
Oh, my.
I'll make it happen.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, boy.
All right.
That was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
So listen, no matter what you do in this world, whether you want to be an evangelist preacher, you want to be, I don't know, a guy that chops trees for a living.
Where the heck did that come
I
from?
don't know. You want to be a scuba diver.
Scuba
right?
diver or ski instructor
Ski instructor.
or a culinary chef,
You want to be a culinary chef.
master chef.
Any of those things, right? It all starts with belief.
That's true.
It all starts with the vision and saying, man, that's what I want to do. So I know this. If you can believe it, if you start feeding your mind the right stuff, the right ingredients, and you will stay true to that and do not waver, you can achieve whatever you put your mind to, right? You can achieve, and the problem with most people, we've said this before, is that it's not that they dream too big, it's they dream too low,
That's true.
right? And because you got to set big
Hairy,
goals.
audacious goals.
Yeah,
They should scare you,
they should make you tremble,
make you tremble.
right?
All
All right, so remember that, and always remember that your paradise is
It's
possible.
possible.